Are mountains artificial? Welcome to another video, and I'm going to begin with this map of Mercator just to pose this question, because this is the map where I began to officially question this idea. Now, of course, some people will question the idea of whether this continent even exists. But what really caught me was these mountains that surround this whole island. And really, just the landmass itself appears to have a created look, a very intelligent design, not a random landmass. And so the landmass itself seems intelligent, and as well do the mountains surrounding them, which really poses the question, were these land masses created by design? And recently I watched a new video by Wise Up, and he was citing some work by I'm sorry, forgive me, I forget the name now, but how he was showing France, and that France appeared to, the whole continent, the whole region of France appeared to be Starfort-like, and so here we are looking at star forts, which I think is really important work. But yet, do we step back even further and say, wow, this whole landmass is, at least shaped in some form intelligently by, by something much older than, here we're speculating on, buildings and more recent, within thousands of years, and in some cases within hundreds. But I mean, this is old. I mean, we're talking about titans here, and the creation of land. And, I thought the same things with the Ural Mountains in Russia, and the same thing with the Himalayas, that these appear to be walls. I mean, walls to keep people out. And what a great wall. I mean, if you had, if you were a larger people, then yes, you're going to start. In any case, I can only speculate, and I don't want to get too speculative at this point in the video, but let me jump on to the next part. And it actually brings me to an old book that not even an old book, they're old magazines, old French magazines from the early 1900s that ended up in my possession. And this is one example. And so yeah, they're let me see this one. Okay, so this one's 1901. This is the oldest one actually, but yeah, they're French journals, and really fascinating. I recently acquired them, and I don't read French very well. I can read, enough, maybe like more than half, but not very much more. But in any case, I really look forward to dissecting these. And, just as an example, I don't want to get too off topic, but really fascinating stuff. I mean, this is from 1900, and, just to get an idea, I mean, let's look at this beautiful city here in, I guess, in 1900. It's in a, can't be any later. And then we look at where it is, and it's in Shanghai. Shanghai. And, here's a Japanese school, École Japonaise. And so really fascinating. I can't wait to, I almost want to pick, pick one section, one book at a time to, really give them justice. And certainly I want to photograph them just to document as much as I can. Yeah, really, really, really fascinating, and I look forward to, really dissecting these. But in any case, let me jump to um, this picture of, here we are speaking of giants. Let me get back on topic again. We are speaking of giants, and in this old book, we have this depiction, village in construction, and its architect, Madam, this madam here. So they're saying that this lady built these little homes, you know, and you know, I don't know. It just seemed to me like if I didn't see that picture of the lady and you saw these homes, you might think that this is le- uh, legitimacy. I mean, that this is real size. And I don't know. I don't know because these seem like, some of these seem like ruins. I mean, look at this. Do you think she built, this way, or is this ruined? Is this ancient? I mean, has it been damaged? And just a portion of the column is showing. I mean, what really, they seem old. These seem like older. I don't know, and I would love to see the inside and know if this is still here. And I believe this was somewhere in France, the House of Bernays right here. Really fascinating though, and so I thought, could this lady, have been, and that might seem silly. In any case, that's what I thought of when I first saw this. I saw a video recently. I mean, look at this. Really? Like, really? Somebody built this miniature stonework, like hewn stonework, all miniature? I don't know. Or was this a smaller people? Or are we the smaller people and she was larger and they had cameras and she's photographing this? I don't know. And I found it just absolutely fascinating, and here's where I'm going to jump next with this. So I found this on Flat Earth British channel, and this is from an old Gallica book, and what we see is, these giants, or I don't know, again, regular people carrying, this I imagine in the center of a square in some grand city. I mean, this is like some giant, thing. And here these giants are setting it down. I mean, they appear to be, and this book appears to be depicting, a reset and the recreation of the next civilization, as if these are like doll houses and they're putting it together and maybe taking some things apart or vice versa. And here again, let's look here. You see how they're carrying this castle, and they're carrying smaller castles on sticks. I mean, as if these were just printed or made. In some pictures that Martin showed, you have little people amongst these, which, the artist wanted there to be a reference and let us know that, yes, there were little people at knee height along with these people. And yes, now we can see buildings which would be more reality size. So, I mean, I think they're painting a pretty good depiction here. And so, yeah, this seems like a reset time. Here are these Guys are carrying the fasces and joking and having a good old time. I mean, these guys are not going to lose this battle or this event. Just a good old time going on here. And the trumpets and dressed very loosely, you know. These people know exactly what they're doing and what's going on. And look here, we have extincta, you know, like this is a Latin word. I mean, we know this is like an extinction. So yeah, really interesting, you know, and I really, you know, again, I saw the old French books first, and then I saw these, and it really reminded me, you know, what is going on, and you know, could a lot of the things that we see, you know, that we wonder, how did we build? How did us puny little humans build these things? Well, maybe we didn't, you know, and I think we realize that now. We do, but maybe, you know, there could be a lot more to it. Even the older pictures from the 1800s that we see, you know, rarely, if we do see buildings, it appears, or building, it appears that we see renovation rather. And and even in that renovation, we don't see people. You know, we don't see a force of people gathered, working, a crew. No, we might see a few guys in suits, and it always looks like it might be Sunday, and you know, people are taking the day off. But yes, really, really interesting. I mean, who is again building these structures? And this old book, this old magazine, really blew me away when I saw this. Really, really interesting. Something, you know, even this little building appears to have a little mud flooding next to it, you know, and this kind of makes sense, you know, like sometimes it does look as if, you know, we are just tiny ants and, you know, someone just dumped mud or dumped sand and very easily covered up a civilization as if, so now, you know, if the people are this size or, you know, the people are this size, then it becomes very easily uh, achieved, the reset. This wall, this great wall of Peru, and really fascinating. This, I knew of the Nazca lines, and of course the amazing polygonal stonework and the megaliths, and you know, we all know what we know. You know, there is somewhat of a knowledge about what is known, but yet this to me, this wall of Peru, absolutely fascinating. You know, running along this river, I was really amazed with, again, this old French book and this wall. Let me show you a few more pictures of it. And again, things I had never seen. And this is a amphitheater in Peru. Here we have the amphitheater in Peru, which I'd never seen. Pampas de Maras, 25 kilometers to the north of Cusco. Really fascinating, and you know, are we seeing a quarry or an amphitheater? I think it seems very amphitheater-like, or just tech, you know, just the faintest remnants and husk of, you know, leftover civilization. And here, you know, it shows a map of this wall and how absolutely enormous it is. And this baby just, you know, runs and runs, just like a lot of the things. I mean, you have an ancient highway that you know, I'd love to make a video just on the ancient highway that runs, an ancient road that runs along the coast, and you can tell it's been there a long time. So here are some examples of the wall. In some areas it's very well preserved, and in some areas it's completely, you know, you might not even recognize it. And this was interesting. I mean, this was over Peru, and I don't think these look natural. I don't know what's going on there, but it was really interesting. You know, I think they're telling us that these are just dunes shaped like croissants or crescents. And this is a really fascinating road. The mysterious the mysterious buttons. And so, yeah, I mean, I'd seen a lot of course, the Nazca lines and everything else, but never seen this ancient road of buttons. And that is worth, a little more research, that's for sure. Really interesting. And I think that's it for these. This was just a volcano in the Andes, which I thought was really interesting too. And another one, another older research in 1931. Here it depicts again the wall. You can see how massive, massive it is. And there were some great pictures here. I mean, this looks like mud flood central. This place has just been. This reminds me of things where I live too. I mean, where a single shrub won't grow because it's been mud flooded so hard. And this was really interesting. This was what I was looking for. And a lot of things like this along the ancient wall. So really fascinating. I mean, I've seen things like this in Africa even, and really worth a study. A lot of ruins, and what I consider to this day to still be unexplored ruins along this ancient wall. And there's so much to explore. Really, I think it's interesting that we could find an old book from the early 1900s and discover things about our past. But that is what it's all about, because everything has been rewritten and discarded, and books have been burned for eons. And even in uh, my old French book here, I didn't show you guys this picture, but there was a picture of the Vatican, and it shows the Vatican Library, La Bibliothèque Vatican, that was, it looks to me like it's been bombed. The center just fell out. And it was very suspicious. I read a little bit on it. But yeah, I mean, look, what was destroyed? Here's all these books. Here's a great example. What was here? Or were they, most likely, they were probably removed and put, in some private collection somewhere. And, then this catastrophe, mysteriously occurs. So, yeah, that's kind of how those things usually happen. And here again was just a quick little article showing how this wall, looks, on the edge of some mountain sometimes. And I think we all have things like this where we live and in our areas. I know I certainly do. And I just thought it was really interesting, that this is really going to be the remains of ancient civilization, and how we might just think, especially here in the Southwest. I mean, you see this all over the place. And I now think, I really think twice when I see things like this. I don't think natural. And so, yeah, here's examples of this wall. This person did a good job here on this blog, or I'm not sure what. Let me see, sorry. Yes, here it is. And yeah, great images of this wall. And look at this entrance into the wall. And look how thick and massive, absolutely massive this is. So that's it. That's just, I've probably gone longer than I intended, but, I hope this was a little eye-opening in a way. And thank you so much for joining me. Now, here's one straight out of the weird file. While I was editing this video, I came to this part where I talked about Victor, the man who took the Beatles and created levitating devices from the wings and the patterns found underneath the second pair of wings. But in any case, why I'm making this little video is, while I was editing, I noticed this. I don't know if you can pick that up. There it is. and this little vortex here, this little vortex field, and I said, what is that? That's not part of my pictures. I mean, everything else was part of my pictures, and yet that vortex, you know, it didn't show up when I scrolled on it here. This little pink vortex here. And so what is my last picture? My last picture is not this picture, actually. This picture is underneath, and I laid this on top because I was too lazy to delete all the other pictures. And originally I thought I was going to use these other pictures and fuse the two videos together, but I didn't end up doing that. But in any case, back to this little vortex, what is the last picture associated with this particular clip here? And that is this man. And what is he doing? He's creating a vortex. He's creating a magnetic field, allowing him to levitate. And the only other thing I can see with this picture is that I added this little note here. Be the change, start where you left off. And I added an effect, you know, for this little title, which you can see here shooting across the top screen. It's like a little, I think it's called pixie dust. But the pixie dust is not in a vortex. You know, I can stop it at any point here and you don't see a vortex. But yet, in conjunction with this photograph, and you know, the naked eye can only see so much. And yet this camera, I believe, is catching the full spectrum, even though we can't see it. And it perhaps is capturing the magnetic field, and with a little pixie dust here from my title effect sprinkled over it, we have here a summarization of the events, which gives us this beautiful vortex. And really, really fascinating and absolutely random. I don't know what I'll do with this video, but I just had to make it, and perhaps I'll share it.